We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
You have fun. Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you.
Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at BellisioFoods.com/careers.
Well, happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to the morning show. I have two newsmen here today. So excited. And of course, we're here because it's Monday and we do news on Monday with your morning news update brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. And she was out and about on Saturday because I saw her parked along the highway working.
You're kidding me.
Shocker, right?
Okay. Did you get that on film?
The conversation was, Jamie said, well, at least she pulled off. I'm surprised she didn't park in the middle of the highway, because when Nia sees something, she just stops and does it right then. So, yeah. But, yeah. So, if you need real estate, anything, Nia's here for you, 418-4135.
Real estate done 24/7.
You are not kidding about that. Even in the middle of the highway.
Okay. We hope not.
No, I'm just teasing about that. But yes, she was out working because I saw her. You guys have tons of news to get to today. So we have Jeremiah and Pete Wilson here today. So my goodness.
Okay.
Morning, Jen.
Right.
Good morning.
Well, I'm going to give the platform to Jeremiah because he is working on our biggest news story. And that is, of course, is the ongoing case that involves the death of William Beach Jr., who was shot by a Jackson County Sheriff's Office deputy
Yeah.
last Tuesday afternoon at 1818 Gisco West Road. Died a short time later after that incident at Holzer Medical Center, Jackson Hospital. Autopsy results are pending, but you know
Okay.
he was shot in the right chest area around the collarbone, I understand. And
Okay.
almost certainly that was the cause of death there. But since then, of course, you know, a lot of questions because it's an ongoing active investigation. Ohio BCI has taken over the investigation because the sheriff's office was involved, you know, with the shooting incident. And since then, of course, you know, we've heard about you know, the 911 call. We have a story on that.
Yeah.
The sheriff's office has, Sheriff Ted Frazier felt necessary on Friday to scramble and put out a statement to explain why the sheriff's office can't say more.
Why
that it's a BCI
kind of
investigation.
A slow information coming
Right.
out.
They're
Yeah.
not supposed to, you know, provide information. And also because it is an ongoing investigation, you know, you don't do that while you're figuring things out, what happened,
Sure.
what didn't happen. Of course, social media is boiling over on this with all sorts of speculation one way or another.
Conspiracy theories and all of the.
Well,
Yes.
it's a typical thing, but some more light was shed officially through us on Saturday, thanks to our work of
Jeremiah.
of our Telegram multimedia journalist Jeremiah Shaver, and this was an initiative thing. Jeremiah did a public records request with the Jackson County Municipal Court, and this is something that isn't always public, but sometimes is a search warrant. You know, that is a public
Okay.
record. Sometimes they seal them. This time they didn't, and they were prompt in providing that to us, and it had some very important information in it that, some facts that we can share where it isn't open to speculation anymore
Gotcha.
about certain things.
Good.
And
Okay.
so Jeremiah is the story is online. We put it on immediately after we prepared it on Saturday morning. We are sharing it free of charge on our Facebook as well, because we know that there's a lot of interest in it. Not going to do that all the time, but I made the decision to do it this time because there's so many questions out there. And Jeremiah, tell everybody here on TV, if they don't already know, what we found out through that search warrant.
Yeah.
Sure, Pete. Thank you. So I'm going to read this so I don't mess anything up.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's good. Just read it.
So we were able to get our hands on the search warrant that was issued out at 1818 Gisco West Road. And it, like Pete said, shed a little more light on that situation out there. According to the search warrant, law enforcement officers responded to a report of criminal activity at 1818 Gisco West Road in Jackson. The warrant detailed that Beach had committed 2 criminal offenses: criminal trespass, which we heard through the 911 call he was doing up the road there, and having weapons under disability. And when you hear having
Yeah, what
weapons
does
under
that mean?
disability, that means he was on probation. And when you're on probation, you can't have a weapon under disability, any type of weapon.
Okay.
Whatever
Second
that-
Amendment doesn't apply to you anymore.
I gotcha.
Right.
Kind of lost your rights then, huh?
And
Okay.
we were able to do a little digging through the Jackson County Municipal Court to find out what led to him not being allowed to have weapons. And we discovered in the Muni Court that Beach had been charged with a 5th-degree felony of breaking and entering back in November of 2020.
Okay.
So a few years ago. That charge was actually amended to a 1st-degree misdemeanor charge of aggravated trespass. He pled guilty to the charge, was placed on probation through the Muni Court for a period of 5 years.
So he's still certainly within that.
Within that 5
Yeah.
years. And he was required to report to probation department the first week of each month throughout the term of probation. And he was supposed to complete 80 hours of community service as a condition of probation. 20 to 21 came and went with Beach failing to report to probation. Warrants were issued. However, they apparently were never able to find him until we talked about this on Friday, the incident that happened in August of 2022 with the altercation of the officer.
Yes.
Where he had an altercation with the Jackson Police Department officer in August of that year following a traffic stop in which he was a passenger.
Yeah.
Well, he had reportedly fled from the officer. Officer caught up. There was a struggle. And during that altercation, Beach had reportedly struck the officer in the face
Yes,
twice.
he did. Yeah.
Well, during that incident, he had been charged with assault of a peace officer, 4th-degree felony. And he was indicted in October of 2022. And the court had set his own recognizance at a house arrest, including GPS ankle monitoring. And they also extended his probation, Jen. We learned through the Muni Court records that his probation was extended through August of 2026. And then, as we knew, he was supposed to be beginning trial today.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, trial
Okay.
was supposed to be February 6th, 7th, and 8th. And anyhow, we submitted this search warrant, or we submitted this public records request for get the search warrant, which provided more details. And I'm going to go into that a little bit with you. The warrant first explained that a neighbor had caught a male subject who was later identified as Beach in their vehicle, so the neighbor drew a gun on Beach. Now, we didn't hear that in the 911 call, but I will say when I was looking at the Jackson County Auditor site, it seemed that address at 1734 may be like a shared structure. It seemed like there might be 2 addresses there.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if maybe he was breaking into the other person's vehicle and the other neighbor maybe called the 911 and reported the trespassing.
Okay.
We're not sure. Still learning more on that. I will say that we discussed the 911 call that was reported on Friday, and he had run off through the woods after trespassing at 1734, and he retreated to a small Amish-built style shed that had been converted into a cabin residence at 1818 Gisco West Road, which is about 900 feet from 1734 Gisco West. According to the warrant, Beach had been staying at this residence.
But he
Jen.
was on house arrest.
But he was supposed to be on house arrest in town at an address.
Another address.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
25 Columbia Street, if I recall.
Okay.
In town. The structure here is owned by Sean Norman and Melissa Graham. According to Beach's obituary, Norman was his best friend.
Oh, okay.
So maybe
Just
he was
stay with his
hanging out,
friend.
just
Yeah.
staying there, I guess. We also learned through the warrant that it went on to explain that upon approaching the home, a Jackson County Municipal Court probation officer who was on scene to assist in taking Beach in custody witnessed him to be in possession of a hatchet and a handgun. So
Oh,
this is
my.
new information.
That's definitely new information.
So they witnessed this, and probation was out there because obviously he was breaking,
probation.
Yeah, on probation, and had violated his probation. Officers made backed up to a safe distance, made efforts to get Beach to surrender himself peacefully. However, Beach had reportedly barricaded himself in the small structure and would not surrender. Standoff lasted for several hours, which we've reported on that prior. Officers on scene, through a court-issued search warrant, requested a non-consensual entry, which this is one of those no-knock entry warrants.
Okay.
You've heard about those in the news before.
Yeah.
And
So they had to get a search warrant to be able to
Enter
enter
the residence.
The residence. Okay.
Right. It says the court granted that warrant to law enforcement officers because they had good cause to believe that there was a risk of serious physical harm to the officers and other authorized individuals who would execute the warrant. Law enforcement officers cited Beach as being armed with deadly weapons, as well as him having a current indictment for assault of peace officer as reasons for the no-knock warrant. Municipal Court Judge Mark T. Music signed the warrant at 1:17 p.m. on Tuesday, January 31st, and it was executed that same day.
Okay.
And as we know from previous reports, Jackson County Sheriff Ted Frazier had told us here at the Telegram that law enforcement officers entered the home shortly after 2 p.m., and that's when the shooting had occurred. It's still not known. He may have been in possession of these deadly weapons, but still not known whether or not he had those in hand at the time of the shooting. I'm sure that's something we will learn as BCI and I release more information. I'm just trying to glance here to see if there was anything else. Can you think of anything else, Pete, that shed light on this outside of the weapons?
Okay, the weapons, of course, was the big thing because a lot of speculation. There was only one person injured, and that was Beach, who was killed.
Right.
There wasn't any report that there was any other gunfire or any other injury to law enforcement or anybody else other than Beach.
Right. So
and
that was
so,
a question.
so a lot of people are saying, obviously Beach was in a situation where he shouldn't have been, but was he unarmed and was he shot? Was an unarmed man shot? People are wondering if that happened.
Well, because the statement that was issued was a little bit vague, and I've heard a lot of people say because it said the officer felt threatened, was threatened, or felt threatened, and so so it was kind of like, oh, well,
what was that?
Which was it?
Right. Well, I'm the one that asked that question to Sheriff Frazier, so I'll tell you exactly how it went.
Sure.
Okay. He confirms that there was a shooting, an officer-involved shooting, deputy shooting. A man later identified as Beach. Initially, we didn't even get the identification.
Yeah.
So the obvious question was, did the suspect shoot at the deputy or attack the deputy in some way?
Right.
And that is when the sheriff said that no, Beach. He said Beach was shot, but the officer was threatened or felt threatened.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked then, did he fire a gun? And that is when he would not say whether he fired a gun or he had a gun.
So it's
Well,
still part of
let me backtrack on that. He said that there was only one gunshot. That was from the deputy.
Okay.
But he would not say whether Beach had a gun or a hatchet or didn't have a gun or a hatchet. That is what we don't know.
But
we
the
know
search warrant,
we know that he was seen with it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say the search
Earlier.
warrant clearly states that the probation department and other folks witnessed him
Right.
with
When-
those things in his
When the
hand.
deputy and other law enforcement officers went in there, I'm sure based on what was seen, they expected Beach, who did not surrender.
Correct.
They assumed he was armed and that he would potentially use the weapons.
Right.
Now, maybe he never got the chance. Maybe he wasn't going to use any weapons. That is part of the untold story
Well,
right
and that's
now.
why they're still investigating, and that's why, they're only releasing information that they can at this time.
Right.
And that's
There's,
totally fine.
right. We'll see what all the witnesses say, what the deputy involved says, other people who may have been with that deputy when they made entry into the
Sure.
thing. There's certainly, what all the witnesses have to say, and what the deputy himself has to say, but also potentially there may be body cam footage that may be able
That's
to
one
tell the
question I've
story.
been asked a bunch, and I'm like, I've never heard that discussed. I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure whether they all have body cams on their person or not. Many of the vehicles are equipped that way. I
Mhm.
don't know, if every deputy, every law enforcement officer involved here had body cam or not.
Okay.
I don't know
We don't
whether
know.
I don't know whether there was any surveillance video or camera inside the home. Probably not, but some homes are equipped that way.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure all those angles are being looked at, and we'll just have to see what BCI says. We check with them daily to see
Sure.
if they're, but we do know this. We do know this. They said this. They're not saying much now. That's certainly the case, but the report will be publicly released.
Okay.
It's not like, they're going to put it up on Times Square, but it will be available to be accessed to
Once
the
they're
public.
done with it, and
Mhm.
that's fair too.
Mhm.
And we have put in a request as well for the body cam footage, Jan.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll be able to obtain that around the same time that we
If there is,
get the if
some.
there is some
Right, and it's possible there's body cam footage and it's not defining.
right,
in
it doesn't
some way.
show.
Maybe a dark or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't know.
so
Wow, but
That's,
you guys really did a lot of work over the weekend and,
Yes.
and obtained quite a bit of information that's kind of breaking and so good job on that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yeah.
Give Jeremiah credit for initiate. I mean, it wasn't that the municipal court released this as, hey, you want this? We asked for it.
Sure.
So, that's something that normally the cases we have, we don't get into that sort of thing, but it is a way to get information. And in this case, it was released, and we certainly commend the municipal court. This was late on Friday afternoon when maybe some folks were shutting down. They were willing to go to the trouble of getting us a copy of this search warrant so
Yeah.
we could get that story out as
That's
soon as
awesome.
possible.
Good job.
So
The
still
newsman doesn't sleep on Saturday.
That's right. We were up really putting. I worked it late Friday trying to get it all wrapped up, and then I finished it up Saturday morning.
Good
But
job.
still a few question marks left in this
Yeah.
story, and hopefully when BCI and I finishes their report, we'll be able to put this to bed.
It's kind of like a need to know basis, and they're still working on their investigation. And when they know, you'll know. We'll know.
Right.
Well, that's the goal. We hope the gap there is very small.
Yeah.
Between when they know and when we know, and then when you know.
Exactly. You know, we know, we all know.
That's what we'll try. That's what we shoot for.
It's
Bad
just
word, sorry.
yeah. No pun intended.
No, I wasn't.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It's just something that doesn't happen in our area much, so it is definitely very, newsworthy, and it makes people really curious and inquisitive about, the procedures and all of that. So
Right. Well, there needs to be, the light of day needs to be thrown on this as much as possible, not only for this incident, but also with what happened in Memphis, a week ago. Sometimes single events kind of like throw a cloud over a larger group, and that shouldn't happen.
yeah,
So, there's people probably that are questioning maybe more law enforcement more in this case than maybe they should, just because of something that happened somewhere else.
yeah.
But once again, everybody is accountable.
Yep.
Everybody is accountable.
And that's why the investigation gets done, and that's why the
That's why
the big
yeah.
dogs get pulled, called in, and and done. It's all thorough, and that's what they do.
Exactly. And this is in the hands of the Ohio BCI. That is the top law enforcement agency in the state.
Yep,
Right. It's like the FBI in the state of Ohio.
right on.
All right.
So
Very good.
cool.
All right. So do you want me to touch on the other thing I had, Pete?
Okay. Yes. Go ahead and
Go
do
ahead.
that. We're really changing gears now.
Really changing gears now. So we're gonna
Something a little happier.
yeah, we're gonna
perhaps,
jump
yes.
from this officer involved shooting to a downtown community event, Jen.
Yeah.
On Thursday, the community took part in the 2023 Chocolate Walk organized by the Jackson Downtown Association. People had to have a ticket to be able to get a sweet treat from each participating downtown business. There
Yeah.
was several of them that took part. Not everybody passed out chocolates. Some folks passed out cookies or suckers. So there was a mix of sweet
Really?
treats to get during this downtown
Thinking outside the box.
thinking outside the box. And I prepared a little video, set the music to just kind of show the atmosphere down there
Oh,
to
great.
show. And then I think we have a photo we can show after that, and I'll say who's in the picture.
Okay, cool.
So there you go. There's
Now I'm hungry. Thanks a lot.
sorry, Jen. So if you can throw that photo up there, Dylan, if you have it. Pictured there, you have you may recognize it's
I know that kid.
Gibson Gillen. That is
Gibson.
Jason Pudge Gillen's son, and he was participating in the chocolate walk and agreed to get his photo taken here at that's Andrea's prom and
Yes.
bridal, and pictured with him that's Laura. Is it Zachariah?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's passing him out a sweet treat there with chocolate on it. But the community enjoyed a little shopping and fun, and of course, delicious treats on Thursday.
That's awesome.
That is the Jackson Downtown Association, and chances are there's going to be some other downtown events.
Sure.
I know when they were going Great Guns, it was once a month normally.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sure there'll be other things here throughout the year on that first Thursday.
Had that stupid C word come up, and it kind of screwed up everything.
It did kind of mess things up. I
Yeah.
know when they first started this, it seemed like Pete was saying, every month there. And I remember in the summer that year, they had like a big summer bash there downtown. If you
Yeah,
remember
it
too.
was really cool, and
A lot of people got out.
Yeah, bands,
part.
and
Mhm.
hopefully we could do that again and bring people to the downtown. Pretty cool.
Yep.
Very good.
All right. So I'm gonna take my leave then.
Okay.
You definitely went from one extreme to the other, Jeremiah.
I did. So I did that on Thursday after writing the other story that we had in the paper. over
And
the
nothing
weekend,
like
so.
small town newspaper.
I
right?
know.
That's right. Back and forth there. So have a good day.
All right.
Hey,
Thank you
thanks,
so much,
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah. Appreciate
Much
it.
appreciated.
Okay. Well, let's go back to the heavy news. All right.
Oh, gee, thanks, Pete. no,
I'm sorry. It
that's
is.
okay.
What do they say? It is what it is.
It is what it is. You're right.
All right. Okay. Well, we're going to go to the Benton County Common Pleas Court now.
Yes.
And
Another big story.
last Wednesday, there was a plea hearing in a double murder case. That double murder occurred back in March of 2022 in MacArthur. On March the 1st, Jory Blair Brown and Lawrence Andrew McMichael were both killed. There are two defendants in that double murder. One of them is a female, 27-year-old Shania Jones of Wellston.
Okay.
And there is Shania right there. She pled guilty to charges in connection with that investigation in that case. And we appreciate Vinton County Prosecutor Jim Payne passing along the information there.
Okay.
But she pled guilty to make sure what the charges were there.
Were they?
She pled guilty to 2 counts of conspiracy to commit murder. Now that is
Were they lesser charges or?
That was not the same charge that
Okay.
she was indicted on.
Okay.
But she was indicted on conspiracy to commit murder, which is also a first-degree felony. The felonies
Oh.
in the state of Ohio are 1 through 5, with
Yes.
1 being the worst. So this was a first-degree felony. I'm not sure whether there is a difference as far as what the sentencing possibilities are between conspiracy to commit murder and aggravated murder or just plain murder.
Sure.
But conspiracy to commit murder, I've learned this, it's considered almost as bad as murder because, you have a part in somebody being
Right.
murdered.
Planning it is they kind of consider that the same as executing it.
Now, she has a co-defendant, August Christopher Schutz, who is also from Wellston.
Okay.
His case is still alive in Vinton County Common Pleas Court. So you have a case, and this is just speculation. You have a case where she may have pled to some very serious charges, but slightly lesser charges.
Yeah.
And she may be giving them information on this other defendant,
Yeah.
possibly, who has not taken any plea deal as of right now. His trial date has not been set, but is expected to take place in the coming months. As far as Shania Jones, this is what Vinton County Prosecutor Jim Payne said was a possible sentence. A potential maximum prison term for what she pled to is 27 and a half years, a fine of $40,000, and 5 years of post-relief control, some sort of probation or parole.
Okay.
After that, should she, get out of prison after the 27 and a half years. When you hit so many years, unless they've changed this, 10 or 11, you can't get parole before then. You have to serve the time.
Okay.
If it's less than that, 11 years or less, you can get, parole or probation.
Fairly
or
quickly.
You can get parole before you have completed the 27.5 years. Now, if she does get sentenced to 27.5 years or something less, I'm not sure whether, specifications or mitigating factors like good behavior would be thrown in there or
Sure.
not. I suppose there's lots of those possibilities. But once again, Shania Jones has pled guilty to conspiracy to commit murder charges, 2 counts, because there were 2 victims, Jory Blair Brown and Lawrence Andrew McMichael. And Prosecutor Payne did mention a couple of family asides or personal asides in this case.
Okay.
Schutz and one of the victims, Jory Brown, were in a relationship together at the time. So, there's certainly a personal domestic angle there as well. Also, both Brown and McMichael, they were the victims. They leave behind minor children, other family members, and friends. So, there were children involved as far as the victims are concerned.
Yeah.
They had children. All right. Okay, we'll go to
Does
yes.
it say when the sentencing will take place? Did you say that? And I just-
No, I didn't. Thank you. Judge James Salyer, who is the Common Pleas Court judge in Vinton County, ordered something that is very common, particularly in cases that are involve serious charges. He ordered a pre-sentence investigation. And
Okay.
he will take a closer look at all the particulars that may weigh in on his judgment on what
Gotcha.
the prison term should be. The maximum prison term again would be 27.5 years. Doesn't have to be 27.5,
Sure.
but it could be that many. It's up to the judge. He'll look at different factors, maybe the remorse of the defendant,
Yeah.
the circumstances of her role in the
Sure.
murders, that
And that's
sort of
why
thing.
an investigation is done.
But I think it's telling that she pled to conspiracy to commit murder instead of murder.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting.
Okay. Politics. Last Wednesday was the filing deadline for partisan candidates in the cities of Jackson and Wellston. This does not involve some other public offices that will be on the ballot later in the year in November. That would include school board, township offices, village offices. Those are nonpartisan, so there is no potential primary election involved.
Okay.
The cities are at a partisan situation. Don't know why one is one way and one way is another.
Don't
but-
ask, it's politics.
But on the city side, you don't have to run as a Republican or Democrat.
Oh.
But if you do, there is a primary
Okay.
that you have to get through, which is usually in May. Usually in March in a presidential year, but May in a non-presidential year. And so the filing deadline was last Wednesday, which is 90 days out from the actual primary election. And as it turned out, the headline item that came out of this is there are 3 people that are seeking election to the office of mayor of Wellston.
Oh,
Okay,
3 people.
Right, 3 people. We remember that Charlie Hudson resigned on January 17th with 1 year left on his term.
Yes.
And just very recently, the Jackson County Northern Caucus of the Jackson County Republican Party Central Committee, the 3 caucus members who reside in the city of Wellston, they had to decide who was going to be the mayor for the rest of the unexpired term. That is now through the end of the year. They picked Wellston Service Director Anthony Brenner.
Okay.
However, former Wellston Mayor Connie Pelletier also sought that position. There's Anthony Brenner.
Yep.
Connie Pelletier also sought that position. Former Wellston Mayor, there's Connie. And then also longtime former Wellston City Councilman Tom Clark also sought that office. There's Tom.
Oh.
Anyway, all of them are also seeking the election to the 4-year term as mayor, which is on the ballot this year.
Interesting.
That is all going to be decided on May 2nd. That is the date of the primary election. They are all Republicans.
Okay.
Now, there was no Democratic candidates that filed. This does not preclude somebody running as an independent or as a write-in. You can run as a write-in candidate in the primary election. You can run as a write-in candidate in the general election. Of course, your big disadvantage is your name is not printed on the ballot.
Right.
In the last 10 years or so, there have been more independent candidates that have run than in the past. In the past, it always was you're either an R or a D or something.
Oh,
You
that
thought
was
you needed to be.
sure death of for your candidacy. Yeah.
But now you do have more independent candidates, and it's true. I think in a small town, people vote the man or vote the woman maybe more than the party. Excuse me if I made a partisan person unhappy. But I
You
think
said it.
I think that's the case.
Yeah.
Because you know people. You tend to know people. You know of them.
Yeah.
So on the Republican side, 3 people running. Right now, there are no independent candidates, but the filing deadline is not until May the 1st.
Okay.
There are no write-in candidates. So it could be that whoever gets elected mayor of Wellston or gets the nomination,
Yeah.
that's what you call it. It's actually the nomination on May 1st. They could, in fact, end up being the mayor.
Okay.
All they would have to do is get 1 vote in the general election. So we will see what happens there.
Boy, and they had to, with the timing of this situation, they had to really scurry and get the signatures and cross the T's and dot the I's very quickly to be able to
Right.
get themselves on the ballot.
Right. All 3 of
There
those
wasn't much time at all.
all 3 of those candidates had to decide, if they didn't get the appointment, because that might give you a little bit of advantage. You can say you're in there, you've done the job,
Right.
et cetera. And, it looks like at least the 3 Republicans who are on the caucus, they prefer you. So it wasn't a foregone conclusion that they would all run. Brenner out front said that he would run for mayor if he got the appointment. So
Okay.
that was an easy one for him. Connie Pelletier said immediately that she was running whether she got the appointment or not. And as it turns out, Tom Clark is in that same boat.
Okay.
So we will see
Well,
what
this
happens.
should get interesting.
It should be very interesting primary in the city of in the city of Wellston. Now in the city of Wellston, some other positions, because most of the city positions are open or up this year, other than city treasurer.
Mhm.
All right, a 4-year term Wellston city auditor Alicia Beatty currently holds that position, but she did not file petitions to run for re-election. So it appears that she's not interested in running again,
Oh.
or unless she decides to run as an independent. But that wouldn't make any sense, or it wouldn't make it's not very logical because she was appointed as a Republican.
Right.
That was how she got in there when Gary Crabtree resigned as auditor. But John C. Dupree, better known as Chris Dupree, he was the city auditor before Gary Crabtree. He is going to run for Wellston city auditor as a Republican.
Okay.
Right now, he is the only candidate. The three at-large positions in the city of Wellston on the council, there was only one person that filed. Republican Teresa Pond Lamaster is running again.
Okay.
There are two other people who are at-large councilmen, but they did not file as Republicans. One of them is Walter Bub Norris,
Okay.
and the other is Roby Browning. Now, in the past, Roby Browning has always filed as an independent. So
Okay.
he may do that again. Mr.
Sure.
Norris may do that. However, Mr. Norris was appointed by council. So he had a chance to file as a Republican, did not, but he could run as an independent just like Mr. Browning, if Mr. Browning does what he has done in the last couple of elections.
Okay.
First Ward Council, Angela Spangler is the only candidate. She is the current Republican office holder, running again for the Republican nomination. No other person involved. Madison Vance, who is the Second Ward councilwoman, she is seeking re-election to council. Once again, nobody else seeking the Second Ward position.
Okay.
Frederick Doobie is the Third Ward councilman. He filed petitions early as an independent, not as a Republican, but as an independent, because you can file your petitions early. It's just that
Sure.
you have a lot more
You
time
have longer
if
to-
you want. So
yeah.
therefore, usually people file a little later as an independent or write-in. But Frederick Doobie is back this time as an independent candidate. Fourth Ward, Lindley Carey. That's the wife of John Carey.
Yeah.
She is the current Fourth Ward Republican councilwoman. She did not file for re-election. I believe that Lindley was appointed.
I think she was,
in the
yes.
midterm. So I don't know whether she's decided not to seek re-election, or as I said, the door is open to run another way, like as an independent,
Okay.
or maybe even possibly later as an appointment by council if they can't find anybody. All right, in the city of Jackson, I don't want to forget Jackson. There's really they are staying the course in Jackson. There's only one different person who is running for election than any of the incumbents.
Okay.
All right, and we'll get to that first. For council at large, there are three people that are on there now. They are John Ondara, Marva Colby, and Brett Foster.
Uh-huh.
All right, Brett Foster and Marva Colby are both running for re-election, 2-year terms for Republican nomination. John Ondara is not running for re-election.
Okay.
However, running as a Republican at-large candidate is former councilman Jeff Elliott. So,
Oh, okay.
So if it holds course right now, there are no Democratic candidates. Those are the only three at-large candidates, and 3 are to be elected. At-large means that you represent the whole city. The whole
Yes.
city votes on you. So once again, there could be an independent candidate. There could be a write-in candidate. But right now, those are the 3 at-large candidates. For Jackson Mayor, Randy Evans is running for a second term. It is official.
Okay.
Right now, nobody else is running for mayor. So there's Randy. He's smiling because he might not have to put out campaign signs.
Yeah, right.
All right. Of course, once again, usually there's a lot of interest. There is usually contests for mayors. I can't remember. Well, yes, I can. One year, or a couple times I can remember there wasn't a contest for mayor, but there usually is.
Yes.
There usually is. So if a independent candidate does not emerge or a write-in, Randy Evans is in like Flint
Is
for
that
a
a
new term.
2 or 4
It's a
year?
4-year.
4-year term. Okay.
Mayor and auditor are 4-year. Council, everybody on council is 2-year.
Okay.
And I didn't mention for Wellston, for council president, Rick Hudson, who is Charlie's brother,
Yeah.
is seeking re-election as council president. He was interim mayor for just a few days there.
Yeah.
But
okay.
he is seeking re-election, and there are no other candidates.
Gotcha.
All right, for Jackson City Auditor, Brett Reed has been auditor for a while, and he wants to
has
be
been.
auditor for a while longer.
Okay.
He is running for re-election as a Republican. Once again, no other candidates. On council, Dan Folks, who was appointed after the 2019 election and then was elected in 2021. He is seeking re-election as a Republican. Once again, there are no other candidates for council president in Jackson.
Gotcha.
At-large council, we just went over that. The ward councilmen are all running for re-election, and none of them are opposed. They are all Republicans. Ryan Peters, J. Ryan Peters in the 1st Ward, Harold Newkirk in the 2nd Ward, Herman D. Crabtree Jr., better known as H.D. Crabtree, in the 3rd Ward, and in the 4th Ward, Pete Bopp. So
Okay.
practically all the same faces in the city of Jackson. And like I say, if there's no independent candidates, a very familiar group running Jackson city government, and Jeff Elliott certainly is no new face.
No, absolutely.
He just
yeah.
did not run in 2021 after
Okay.
serving for a while
So-
as the 3rd Ward councilman.
John Ondara not running, Jeff Elliott running.
Correct. That is
Okay.
the only change
Only
in the city
change. Okay.
in the city of Jackson.
Gotcha.
Once again, pending independent candidates that have until May 1st to file.
Mhm.
When they file, they don't run in the primary, they would run in the general election. All right, as far as levies, we have 3 levies that are going to be on the ballot in Jackson County. We have a countywide health levy. It is
Okay.
it is a 3/10 of a mill levy that runs through 10 years, and it supports basic services. And Kevin Aston was at the county commissioners talking about this, kind of a way to let them know and also promote it because he knows that it gets news coverage at the county commissioners meetings. But Aston says there are 2 levies right now for the health department. One is 3/10 of a mill. That's the one on the ballot this year. One is 5/10 of a mill. He said that between the 2, that's 8/10 of a mill if you put them together. That is less than the typical 1 mill that most county health departments ask taxpayers to approve. And also, this levy is a renewal, which means
okay.
it's going to be no added taxes. You're not going to
Right.
pay more, even if your tax property values went up, which they usually do.
Yes.
A replacement levy will take the millage up to the new value of the taxes. But if you do a renewal, it is the same amount that you collected whenever that levy was first approved. So you can see you lose to inflation there a little bit. All right, in the city of Wellston, voters are being asked to approve a 5-year 1 mill levy for cemetery operations. That is a 5-year 1 mill renewal levy for cemetery operations. In the village of Colton, I know this is important to the folks in Colton, the council, and of course, Mayor Kim Milliken. Remember, back last November, they lost by 5 votes their current
Oh, man.
expenses levy.
Yeah.
This is a 5 mill levy. Can you imagine how important that would be
Oh
to
my
a small
gosh.
village like Colton?
Yes.
Current operating expenses, it'll be on the ballot. They're in the May ballot. It was just narrowly defeated in the November election. They are already instituting some cuts this year in anticipation of what they would have to do next year if this levy fails. They're just tightening their belts already, but obviously the mayor and council hopes that this levy will pass in May. They have to swing about 6 or 7 votes to do it.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we want to remind you that this is the first week in the city of Wellston that the operating hours at City Hall have changed, the city building.
Oh, okay.
Anthony Brenner, who was the service director and he's now the mayor, had this idea and they all went along with it. They're doing 4 10-hour days and they're off on Friday
Oh.
for the city of Wellston. So, the advantage obviously is, you can go in a little earlier, you can go in a little later because the hours are going to be 7 a.m. to 5:30.
Okay.
That's pretty nice for working people, I think, who, the office may be
Sometimes
closed.
it does. It's hard to get in there, isn't it?
7 a.m. to 5:30.
Yeah.
You know ahead of time that Friday is going to be an off day. They're going to be closed that day. This does not, of course, mean essential services like the police department or if there's some emergency with the streets or something like that.
Sure.
But the normal hours are going to be 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and that took effect starting today.
Okay. So do your business Monday through Thursday.
Right, and it does change garbage pickup services because
I was
they're
gonna-
not working on
I-
Friday
I-
either.
That was going to be my next question.
Oh, and that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now how it's going to work, Tuesday will be picked up on Monday along with Monday, all right? Wednesday and Thursday will remain the same, and the Friday garbage will be picked up on Tuesday. So the Monday, Tuesday garbage is now Monday.
Okay.
The Friday garbage is now Tuesday. The Wednesday garbage is Wednesday, and the Thursday garbage is Thursday.
Okay.
You got that?
I got it.
Okay. All right.
Whew.
Okay, we've got that down on our website, all right,
Okay.
in case you need to double check that.
Okay.
All right, last Wednesday, this is a part of government that often gets overlooked, Jen, and that is the townships. We have 12 townships in Jackson County. And at the grassroots level, they do very important things. They take care of the township roads. You know, they do services there.
Yeah, a lot
Right.
of stuff.
Yeah, very important. They plow the roads, or they try to
Yes.
plow the roads. You know, this is the hardest because it's the smallest level of government, and they may have as much road mileage as some of the cities, or maybe more.
Absolutely.
So that's a tough job. And the Roy Arthur, who was such a messiah for the townships
Yes.
all those times, he was the president of the Jackson County Township Trustees and Fiscal Officers Association. Used to be called the clerks, but now they call them the fiscal officers.
Uh-huh.
But he made sure that a delegation of township officials always went to the commissioners on Township Day, which is February the 1st, by the way,
Okay.
and make a declaration, pose through a big picture, and let everybody know that the townships are there and they're important and that people do those jobs. And there was a pretty good group that turned out for that picture-taking session last Wednesday. So, Ohio Township Day held
That's awesome.
last Wednesday. Okay. Also, we've got a story coming that's going to be in our Wednesday paper or our Saturday paper. We're shooting for Wednesday. Wednesday's not here yet, so I can't say 100% for sure. But a very important public official in Vinton County will be leaving Vinton County professionally, at least,
Yes.
not personally, but professionally. And that is Janelle McManus.
Mhm.
She is the health administrator. That's her title in Vinton County. That is Janelle to the left of Ohio Governor Mike DeWine and Mrs. DeWine
Yes.
to the right there. Janelle was there to be the main greeter for Ohio Governor Mike DeWine when he came for a number of things, but mainly this was during COVID, and he visited health departments, many health departments in the state to say, hey, how are you doing? What can we do at the state level to assist you, et cetera. And so that was a big day for Janelle back there in 2020. And Janelle has accepted the job as the health commissioner in neighboring Ross County.
Yes.
Her last day will be this Friday at the Vinton County Health Department. So she will be heading west to Ross County.
Mhm.
Her and her husband live in Vinton County. Tom was on the school board, Tom McManus, for quite a few years, and then he stepped down from that. But my guess is they will remain in Vinton County.
Okay.
But she will be working in Ross County as the health commissioner. And Red Thompson sat down with her just very recently and had a nice kind of exit interview with her,
Yeah.
talked about her impressions. Obviously, the health department was in the spotlight, the health administrator also in the spotlight
Oh,
because
my
of
goodness.
COVID-19.
Yes.
And she said her approach, just give you a little bit of an advance on what we have in that story. Of course, we talked about the COVID-19 situation. She didn't try to be a dictator. She didn't say you have to do this and you have to do this and you have to do this. She gave guidelines to the schools. She gave guidelines to business and said, this is what the health department people at the state,
Yes.
at the national are saying that you should do. It's up to you.
Do the best you can.
Right. And in some cases, decisions were made at the state level, when
Yes.
schools were closed and like that.
Yes.
But still, she gave information and guidance and advice as COVID-19. All right. Speaking of Red Thompson Jr., I do want to say this in his behalf and also for Emmett Conway Jr.
Hmm.
Emmett Conway Jr., former Vinton County resident. He lived in Athens at the time of his death, but a big developer in Vinton County.
Huge.
He passed away here very recently, and Red Thompson not only wrote a nice story that we had as a news type tribute, but he wrote a editorial type column that was in last Saturday's paper. A really nice read about how important it is when people do projects. Yes, they're business projects, but they're thinking about what a community needs, especially a small community
Yep.
where you might not have that many high rollers to get some of those bigger projects going.
Absolutely.
So Emmett Conway Jr., kind of a private man behind the scenes, but left a very positive legacy there in Vinton County.
Yes.
All right. Now this affects a lot of people, and you may not have heard about this. We did have an article in the paper on it, but we'll talk about it here on TV. Very recently, the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio approved a rate settlement for Columbia Gas of Ohio. Columbia Gas of Ohio serves many customers in the state,
Mhm.
and they are the main provider in both Jackson and Vinton counties.
Yes.
All right. It always happens this way. The utility says, hey, we'd like to have this. We need this. PUCO which is the acronym for the Public Utilities Commission, steps in, and they.
I know it's
Well, it is what it is. But anyway, they step in and they decide what is fair.
yes.
There's also a part of the Public Utilities Commission called the Consumers Council, which is supposed to stand up completely for consumers, make sure they
Yes.
get it. Well, the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio is right in the middle. They decide what is fair for the utility, so the utility can operate, and have, a fair amount of profit and still provide affordable services as much as possible to all those people who count on heat,
Yeah.
whatever they
Kinda
use
need
Columbia
it.
Gas for. But how it turned out to be, the Columbia Gas authorized a total increase, and we're speaking in millions of dollars, $68.19 million on an annual basis, but Columbia Gas had asked for $221.14 million as the rate of increase if you add up all the extra
Okay.
money they would have gotten if it were approved. So it's really less than a third of what
Okay.
they sought. And what does this mean for residential customers? Going forward, I'm not sure when this will take part, but this has been approved at the state level. The residential customers will experience a $3 to $4 increase in their monthly bill. Now, if you think
Okay.
of what inflation has been, that
Oof.
doesn't sound all that bad.
No.
Because I know your gas bill, and if you're not on the budget plan, it's much bigger during the heating season.
Yes.
$3 to $4 to me doesn't sound like a whole lot. All right. A couple of other things we want to talk about. We've already talked about the chocolate walk. Down at Oak Hill, we had a nice story. They played a boys basketball game, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit, maybe if we don't run out of time.
Okay.
But they crowned their annual Sweethearts Queen.
Oh.
And there
how
she is.
cute.
That is Maddie Lewis there on the right. She is getting crowned at halftime by last year's queen, Brooke Howard.
Okay.
And they had a dance that night, and always nice. They had, senior attendance, and they had underclassmen attendance as well. It's a vote of the students, so Maddie was not only a beautiful queen, but she's a popular queen.
Very good.
So congratulations to her. We'll have that story in the paper as well. We also want to remind you, because people forget about this, Grace Clinic is open in the city of Wellston. And Grace Clinic is in Wellston, but it is for everybody in Jackson County who is uninsured. They have no health insurance.
Oh.
This isn't a deal where, it's a poverty thing where, you have to meet an income guideline. Because, if you don't have health insurance, you can have some money coming in and you're still hurting cowboy
Yeah.
when you need medical services, particularly
Absolutely.
catastrophic medical services. But Grace Clinic will see you. They perform some services there. It's all volunteer. It is at 22.5 Ohio Avenue in Wellston. That is in the historic downtown section. It is open only on Tuesday, so that's tomorrow
Okay.
from 5:30 until 7:30 p.m. Individuals who are uninsured or underinsured, even if you're underinsured, you are invited to stop by if you need medical care or spiritual guidance, and they will try to help you. They will help you if they can, but they will certainly point you in the right direction if they can. These are medical people or professional people, doctors and nurses, who
Wow.
are donating their time to Grace Clinic.
Do you need to make an appointment or anything, Pete?
You can just show up.
Okay.
5:30 to 7. They do recommend that you come on the front end in case there are a number
Sure.
of people who come. All right, we're getting close to the end of May and alumni stuff.
Yep.
All right, the Jackson High School Alumni Committee is going to plan. I'm on the committee, so I know this. They are planning an alumni program for that last Saturday.
We
in
finally
May.
get to do it.
After 3 years of COVID
Yeah.
non-events, yes. May the 27th, that's on a Saturday, be 5:30 p.m. in the Jackson Middle School Auditorium, the old high school, as we say,
Okay.
right? And the classes of 1970, 71, 72, and 73 will all be honored. Our first planning meeting is at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening at the Potter Room of the library. The reason that we're putting this out publicly is we need representatives of the class of 70, 71, 72, and 73 to come so we can coordinate planning. Also, if your class is planning any sort of reunion, we want to hear from you and know about that too.
Okay.
The alumni represent all of the graduates, not just a certain class.
Correct.
Also, John Pelletier, who wears a number of hats, as you know, in Wellston,
does.
is still the president of the Wellston High School Alumni Committee. Their banquet is going to be also on May the 27th at the high school. And they are having their first planning meeting, he has just announced, on Sunday, February 19th at the Presbyterian Church in Wellston. That is there on South Pennsylvania Avenue. That meeting will be at 2:30 p.m. Anybody who wants to go to be part of or to plan the 2023 alumni banquet is welcome to come. They want you to come. They want you to use the fellowship hall entrance off First Street.
Okay.
Okay, and then they have a nice meeting room there, and that's where you're
Sure.
supposed to go. We'll maybe say more about this on Thursday. We're getting details on it, but did you know that the Big Hug Your Heart Day is this Friday?
Well, our guest told us
Okay,
that
you-
was here
You
on
had somebody talking
Friday.
about that
Oh,
already.
yeah, a little bit. Yes.
Okay, well, good. It's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Parks Edge Event Center.
It's
New
always such a
location.
good event.
It is. It is. The seniors come out and they get treated to a great day. A
Yeah.
free meal, games, music. It's just it's not their birthday or anything, but it's their day.
Just fun.
It's their day, and all sorts of information that can help them, screenings and all
Yes.
like that. And so it's a
free.
great opportunity for the professionals as well as the senior
Absolutely.
citizens.
Get your cholesterol and blood pressure and all that stuff checked while you have the chance.
Right, and it is an amazing behind the scenes. I know you know about it, Jennifer, because we've had guests on TV.
Mhm.
It's just amazing the number of organizations and coordinators that come out
Oh.
to make that happen. Laura Baker is one of them, and I know that Curtis. Let's see, what's her first name? With Charm.
Oh, Flo.
Flo, yeah.
Yeah.
Flo is always big in
Yep.
that too.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure they're planning another super event. I think there's still time also to get tickets for the Valentine's dinner and dance that the Wellston Rotary Club is doing.
Okay.
That is this Saturday, February 11, at the St. Peter and Paul Parish Hall. It'll start with a social hour at 6:30 until 7. Then it's dinner and dancing time, $25 for a great night out. Once
That's
again, you don't
fun.
have to be a Rotarian to go. And they raise the money to help their scholarship fund.
Sure.
But the great thing is it's a great night out, great Valentine's
Yeah.
Day,
Take
pre-
your honey and
pre-Valentine's Day event. Tickets are available at Donna Summers Realty and the Rusted Brown. The Rusted Barn. The Rusted
yes.
Barn. Tina Stroud. Sorry,
Yes.
Tina. All right. And also, this is the last week to get tickets for the St. David's Day dinner
go. Okay.
that they're having down at the Oak Hill Presbyterian Church. That is the annual event. They haven't had it a couple of years now because of COVID,
Sure.
but that's the annual event to celebrate Welsh heritage. The Irish have St. Patrick, the Welsh have St. David.
Aha.
And that big event is going to be Saturday, February 25th. There at noon at the Oak Hill Presbyterian Church. They have got tickets on sale now. It's an RSVP, get tickets in advance deal because there's a very nice catered lunch that comes with that. Tickets are $20 for adults, $8 for children, 7 to 12. If they're 6 and under, it's free. And you need to make your reservation no later than this Friday, February the 10th. So that is the St. David's Day luncheon event. They're going to have Welsh singers there too, actually from Wales.
Very
So,
cool.
Very, very nice.
Be on Main Street TV on the 21st.
Oh, they'll be here on the 21st.
Jeannie Gendra, I know, will be
Yeah.
here to talk about that.
Cool.
Okay, the basketballs are really bouncing.
Yes.
The weather has been favorable, and so there's games, it seems, almost every night, multiple games sometimes
Lots
that,
of
we're
them.
broadcasting on the radio. We are heading down the home stretch now of the basketball season,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to do tip your hats to two of our local teams. First of all, the Jackson girls basketball team defeated Chillicothe in a tight one, 33-32 on
Oh,
Saturday.
wow.
And what they did was by winning that game, they finished the Frontier Athletic Conference season with a 10-0 record. I
Man.
think we've got their picture there, Dylan, if you can put her up there.
Good job, girls.
They finished 10-0 in the league. They're 15-5 overall. There they are. This team is coached by Matt Walburn, also Chad Carpenter and Madison Jones and Tyler Jeffers all help out with that team. And they won the Frontier Athletic Conference last year, mainly with sophomores. This year, they're mainly juniors.
Yes.
And, it hadn't been easy. They've had some tough games. This one on Saturday was tough. But every Frontier Athletic Conference game, they played, they won, including
That's
against second place
awesome.
Chillicothe on Saturday. In the Frontier Athletic Conference, if you win all your games, you not only get the plaque or the trophy, you get what is called the gold ball.
Oh.
And so they didn't even know they got that, but they were told that if they won, you get the gold ball. So they will get the gold ball. Congratulations to
Nice.
players and coaches. Vinton County has not won the TVC Ohio yet, but they took one step closer with a 71-63 victory over Meigs on Friday night. They are ahead by one game in the TVC Ohio standings with 2 games to play. They play at River Valley on Tuesday.
Pressure's on.
And then they host Wellston on Friday.
Okay.
If they win both of those games, they will be the TVC Ohio champions. And Meigs gave them a good game on Friday, but Vinton County prevailed. Also, it's almost tournament season now. The brackets for both the boys and the girls are out. The girls are 1 week ahead of the boys. Their tournament games will start next week, the boys the week after that. The girls have a regular season ending this week. The boys' regular season ends the week after next. But there'll be lots of basketball down the stretch. There are some makeup games as well as regular season games, and everybody plays in the tournament. And you know what? The radio will be covering some of those games in the regular season, a lot of them. And then on the tournament, I don't care where the game is or who's playing, we will be there.
Yay.
The radio will be there. Chris Henry does a great job organizing that, setting that up, working with all the broadcasters, with J.J. Hale and everybody.
Sure.
And
Lot
James
of
will promote it here
coordination.
on TV. But it's a big time. It's very exciting, one and done. It doesn't matter how good you are or how bad you are.
Yep.
Just one loss, and everybody has the same chance when you start out.
Yep.
So there you are.
Whew. That was a lot, Pete.
That's right. Some search warrants to basketball.
I know, right? And chocolate in between.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Of course, spending your morning with us. We greatly appreciate you. And we appreciate you all for watching. And Dylan for pushing all the right buttons. Thanks, buddy.
He's
I sound
speechless.
sick today.
He's thick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's bad. There's things going around there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff
Yeah,
going around.
I'll take a wide berth when I cut
Tis
out.
the season. Yep.
All right.
All right. Well, have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be right back here tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jen.
Bye.
Bye-bye. This just in.
The Telegram News has a new website.
thetelegramnews.com.
Same dedicated coverage.
Same trustworthy news with a brand new look.
Covering Jackson and Benton counties and surrounding areas.
Locally owned and operated, thetelegramnews.com has its finger on the pulse of the community.
Stay up to date on local events, high school sports, and breaking news.
thetelegramnews.com.
Subscribe today at thetelegramnews.com.
Check it out.